Imagine this for a moment. You wake up one morning, and everything looks the same. The sky is still blue. Your room is still yours. The familiar sounds drift softly through your window. But something feels off. Not the world. You feel different. You can't explain it. There are no words for it yet. Just a quiet sense, subtle but undeniable. Something inside you is shifting. You walk through your morning routine. The same steps, the same actions, but somewhere deep in your chest, something is whispering. Not a voice, a feeling, a pull, a silent invitation towards something you don't yet understand. It's soft, but it doesn't let go. It draws you out of everything you thought you were. And you begin to feel lost. You start to feel like a stranger in your own life. The things that once made you happy now feel distant, disconnected. Conversations feel hollow. Small talk irritates you. You find yourself zoning out mid-sentence, as if your soul is somewhere else entirely. You try to keep going, pretending nothing's changed, but deep down, you know something has. And this is how it often begins. The first sign of spiritual awakening rarely arrives with fireworks or grand epiphanies. It comes like a soft unraveling, quiet, persistent, invisible to the outside world, but undeniable to the one within you. You start to notice subtle shifts in how you see life. Little moments become louder. The noise of the world starts to lose its grip. You begin asking strange questions, not aloud, but in your soul. Who am I really? Why am I here? Is this all there is? And then comes the fear. Not fear of something specific, but a kind of existential disorientation. You begin to question everything. Everything you believed, everything you valued, everything you thought defined you. It starts to feel unstable, shaky, as if the foundation of your entire identity is being dismantled one quiet piece at a time. You begin to wonder if you're going crazy. You're not. You're waking up. But in the beginning, awakening and unraveling can look almost identical. You'll feel disconnected from people, from conversations, from everything you once felt part of. You might be surrounded by friends but feel like you're floating somewhere far away. You might hear your own voice in a room and wonder who's speaking. It's as if you're living between two dimensions, one foot in the world you used to know, and the other in a world your soul remembers but your mind can't yet name. Your sensitivity sharpens. You feel more, sometimes too much. You start picking up on energies, the vibe of a room, the hidden tension in someone's voice, the sadness they didn't speak out loud. Crowds become overwhelming. Loud music drains you. Violent films make you physically uncomfortable. Even certain people you've known for years begin to feel heavy. Their presence exhausts you, even when they haven't done anything wrong. And still, you wonder, what's happening to me? The answer is simple. Your soul is waking up, and it's no longer willing to live in a world that feels false. You start needing more alone time, not because you dislike people, but because for the first time in your life, solitude feels sacred. You begin to crave silence, not the silence of emptiness, but the silence where something true can finally speak. You start to feel that being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means being with yourself, perhaps for the very first time. One day, you're walking down the street and suddenly, everything stops. You see a single leaf falling from a tree, and it moves you, not just visually, emotionally. You pause. Time slows. Something about that moment feels unbearably beautiful. You don't know why, but your eyes well up. You cry, not from sadness, from release, as if your soul has been waiting for years to feel that connected, that awake. And you realize, you can't go back. You've crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. Nothing outside of you has changed, but everything inside you has. You can't force yourself to enjoy the same things you used to. Parties drain you. Gossip bores you. Your job might feel meaningless. You begin to see through illusions, societal expectations, roles you've played, stories you've told yourself. It's like you've taken off a mask you didn't know you were wearing. And you feel raw, exposed, real. You start letting go of people, of habits, of your need to constantly prove something. You stop chasing validation. You stop pretending. Something inside you says, enough. You realize that so much of your life has been built around pleasing others, meeting expectations, avoiding conflict, and you're tired. Deep soul tired. This isn't depression. This isn't laziness. This isn't failure. This is the death of the false self. The ego doesn't go quietly, though. It clings. It resists. It whispers that you're falling apart. But in truth, you're falling into yourself. You begin to slow down. You eat slower, breathe deeper, listen more. You take longer to answer questions. You pause before reacting. You no longer rush to fill silence. Silence becomes your teacher. You start to feel that every moment holds something sacred. Even brushing your teeth, even making tea, even sitting on the floor doing nothing at all. You begin to forgive, not because people apologized, but because you're tired of carrying the weight. You forgive your parents, your friends, your past, yourself. You stop needing justice. You stop needing closure. You stop needing the story to make sense. You just let it go. You finally understand that forgiveness isn't about them. It's about setting yourself free. You start to trust, not blindly, but deeply. You begin to trust life. The timing, the pauses, the rejections, the detours. You stop needing to control everything. You set intentions, take action, but release your grip on the outcome. And the strangest thing happens. Peace arrives. Not all at once, but in little waves, in unexpected places. You start to feel okay not knowing. You begin to live in the present, not because it's trendy, but because the past no longer defines you, and the future no longer frightens you. You realize the only real place anything ever happens is here. Now, this breath, this step, this moment, and you finally understand, you're not going crazy. You're just waking up. But something happens when you start waking up. As much as you're growing, expanding, softening, you're also breaking. Quietly, gently, but deeply. You start seeing how many parts of your life were built on fear. Not always obvious fear, but the subtle kind. Fear of rejection. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being alone. You realize how many choices you made not because they were true to you, but because they made you feel safe, or accepted, or less alone. And that realization aches. You might begin to feel waves of sadness with no clear reason. A song plays and your chest tightens. A scent drifts by and you tear up. Old memories begin to resurface, not just in your mind, but in your body. Moments you'd buried long ago start bubbling up without warning. You're not seeking them out. They just come. As if your soul is saying, it's time to feel this now. You're ready. And so you feel. You cry. You shake. You breathe through it. Sometimes you don't even know what exactly you're releasing. But you know you are. It's not logical. It's not linear. It's sacred. That's the second sign of awakening, emotional release. You begin to see your emotions differently, not as problems to fix or hide, but as messengers. You realize your tears aren't weakness. They're wisdom. They're cleansing. Every sob, every tremble, every whisper of grief that moves through you, it's the old leaving your body. And you begin to understand that healing isn't about getting over anything. It's about allowing everything to move through you, without judgment, without rush. Some days it feels like grief. Other days it feels like rage. And other times, it's pure stillness, an ache in your chest that holds no words, only truth. And yet, even in the middle of the storm, there's a strange sense of presence. A part of you, quiet but steady, witnesses it all with gentle curiosity. That's your awakening self, the you who's finally making space for your soul to speak. Then there's this. Your mind starts to rebel. It becomes noisier at first, overthinking, questioning everything. spinning stories, trying to bring you back to what's familiar. This is the ego's way of holding on. It whispers, don't change. Don't let go. You'll lose control. And you might believe it, for a moment. You try to fix the discomfort. You journal, meditate, breathe, stretch, but nothing works the way it used to. Nothing quiets it completely, because you're not supposed to numb it anymore. You're supposed to feel it, to face the shadows, and to see that even the parts of you you feared are worthy of love. This brings us to the third sign of awakening, the collapse of identity. You begin to feel like you no longer know who you are. Not in a frightening way, but in a strangely liberating way. You let go of old labels, old roles, old shoulds. You stop trying to be the version of yourself that made everyone else comfortable. The performer, the caretaker, the achiever, the people pleaser, the perfectionist. You look at these parts of yourself, not with shame, but with compassion. You see how they were trying to protect you, how they helped you survive, and then, you thank them, and you let them rest. You begin to ask, what's left, if I stop performing, if I stop pretending, if I just be? And that question doesn't come with immediate answers. It opens space, space for the real you to rise. But this in-between space, the space between the old you dying and the new you being born, it's disorienting. You're no longer who you were, but not yet who you're becoming. It's like being in spiritual labor. You can't force it, you can only breathe through it. During this time, isolation becomes sacred, not forced loneliness, but chosen solitude. You crave quiet, nature, distance from noise, not because you're shutting down, but because you're tuning in. The world outside becomes too loud, too fast, too sharp. But inside, there's a quiet unfolding, and you want to be there for it. You may begin spending more time in stillness. You might find yourself staring out windows more than screens. You might say no to plans without guilt. You might choose silence over stimulation. And in that silence, something stirs. A voice, not one you hear with your ears, but one you feel with your soul. It's not dramatic. It's not demanding. It's gentle, subtle, but clear. It guides you toward rest when you would have once pushed harder. It nudges you toward honesty when you'd usually stay quiet. It invites you to trust when fear wants to grip you again. This is the fourth sign of awakening, connecting to your higher self. And it doesn't come all at once. It's not a lightning bolt. It's a soft, steady tuning, a remembering. You begin to recognize the difference between fear and intuition, between old wounds speaking and your soul speaking. You begin to ask different questions. Instead of, what should I do? You ask, what feels aligned? You don't always have the answer, but you no longer need it right away. You trust that if you keep listening, it will come. And that's the shift. You stop trying to force clarity, and you start allowing clarity to find you. You walk slower, breathe deeper, notice more. The way sunlight falls across the floor, the feeling of water on your hands, the sound of wind through the leaves. And in those tiny moments, you feel it, a sense of something beyond you, or maybe within you. You can't explain it, you just know, you're not alone. And that's when another truth begins to rise. You're not here to become something. You're here to remember what you've always been. A soul, wrapped in skin, breathing in miracles you once called mundane. A witness, a creator, a being of presence, a spark of the divine. And as you remember, the world begins to soften. Not because it's change, but because you've changed. You no longer seek to be understood. You seek to understand. You no longer chase approval. You cultivate self-acceptance. You no longer run from discomfort. You sit with it, you hold it, and somehow, it transforms. And still, on some days, it's hard. You miss the old you. You miss the predictability, the numbness, the ability to just go along, without overthinking every feeling. You long for simplicity, but you also know, there's no going back. Because even if you could, you wouldn't want to. That version of you didn't know what it meant to be truly alive. To feel everything, to question deeply, to love yourself not in spite of your flaws, but because of them. This is the paradox of awakening. It's both a falling apart and a falling into place. It's messy, beautiful, terrifying, freeing, and it's yours. There comes a moment, quiet and unannounced, when you stop searching for answers and begin listening to the silence. Not because you've found everything you were looking for, but because you've started to trust that you no longer need to know everything right now. You can breathe into the mystery. You can walk forward even when the path isn't visible yet. You can live without the armor. And that is the fifth sign of awakening. Surrender. You no longer try to fight the unknown. You stop trying to force certainty. You let go of the grip you didn't know you were clenching. Because finally, something inside you whispers, let it unfold. This surrender is not weakness. It's strength in its most sacred form. It's not giving up, it's giving in to the current of life that has been trying to carry you all along. You begin to notice how much peace comes from not knowing, not needing to control, not planning every detail, not manipulating every outcome. You just live, you trust, you receive. But surrender doesn't mean passivity. It means aligning your actions with your soul instead of your fear. It means letting go of the need to rush healing, to fix everything, to always be on the way to something. Instead, you allow yourself to simply be, to be confused, to be tender, to be still, to be a mess sometimes. And in that honesty, you find clarity. From this space, another sign begins to bloom, one you didn't expect. You begin to let go of people. Not out of anger, not out of pride, but because your soul is no longer a match for certain frequencies. You begin to feel it in conversations, in interactions, in energy. Some connections feel expired, like clothes you've outgrown, like masks you can no longer wear. This is the sixth sign of awakening, releasing toxic relationships. You begin to see clearly who drains you and who nourishes you, who supports your growth and who resents it, who truly sees you and who only sees the version of you that was convenient for them. And so, with trembling hands and a soft heart, you let go. Sometimes that means quiet distance. Sometimes it means difficult conversations. Sometimes it simply means no longer trying to be someone you're not. You mourn the loss. You cry. You remember the good. You forgive. And then you choose peace. Not every person from your past can walk with you into your future. Not everyone is meant to grow beside you. And that's okay. You begin calling in a new kind of connection. Authentic, aligned, soulful. People who speak your language. Who see behind your smile. Who feel like home. Who challenge you, mirror you, expand you. These aren't many, but they are enough. And they arrive, not because you chase them, but because you've made space for them. And somewhere along the way, you realize something else. You're finally starting to come home to yourself. Not the polished version, not the filtered one, but the real you, the one who feels deeply, forgives slowly, loves fiercely, and no longer apologizes for being too much or not enough. The one who no longer compromises their truth to fit into someone else's story. This is the seventh sign of awakening, reclaiming authenticity. You stop shape-shifting. You stop over-explaining. You stop dimming your light just to keep others comfortable. And you begin to ask, what does my truth sound like? What does my life look like when I stop performing? And little by little, you begin to live that truth. Your laugh changes. Your eyes soften. Your voice grounds. Your choices become cleaner. You say no without guilt. You say yes without fear. And you start attracting people and experiences that match this version of you. The version that isn't trying to prove anything. Just be. And then, something sacred happens. You stop fearing death. Not because you've figured it out. Not because you've read all the books. But because you've finally tasted life, raw, real, unfiltered life. And when you know what it means to truly live, Death loses its grip. This is the eighth and final sign of awakening, a deep spiritual peace with the unknown. You begin to see death not as an end, but as a transition, a doorway, a return. You understand that who you truly are cannot die. The body may fade, the stories may end, but the soul continues, expands, transforms. And because of that, you begin to cherish life even more. You become present in ways you never thought possible. You savor moments. You look people in the eyes. You feel the warmth of sunlight on your skin like a prayer. You kiss slower, hug longer, speak softer. You stop chasing forever and start honoring now, because now is all we ever really have. And now, you know how to live it fully. This is the journey. This is the unraveling. This is the remembering. You're not broken. You're not lost. You're not behind. You're waking up. You're shedding layers that were never yours. You're becoming who you always were beneath the noise. And if it hurts, it's okay. If it's lonely, it's okay. If it's messy and confusing and beautiful and terrifying all at once, yes. That's exactly how it's meant to be. Because awakening isn't an escape from life. It's a return to it. Fully, truly, deeply. And you, my love, are right on time. If this journey resonates with you, if you feel seen, if you feel less alone, if something inside you whispered, yes, I invite you to stay close. You're not the only one walking through this. And you don't have to do it alone. Subscribe. Join this community. Leave a comment below. What part of your soul is waking up right now? What are you letting go of? What are you stepping into? Let this be the space where we meet each other, not in our perfection, but in our becoming. Together, we rise.